Thank you, Senator. I agree with that and look forward to working with you and others on that.
Senator Bennet.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I want to thank you and the ranking member for your opening statements, both of you. Together, I think, capture the spirit of what this committee is supposed to be about in a Congress where we have not worked well together, and I just want to say how much I appreciate your leadership today, so the two of you, and thanks also for mentioning Chairman Stabenow, who did a great job here for a long period of time. Mrs. Rollins, congratulations to you. You mentioned in your answer just now to Senator McConnell, this was actually not a question that I was going to ask, but since you mentioned him, you said we all recognize agriculture is in a tough place when it comes to exports. We do all recognize that. Could you elaborate more on that? We'd love to hear your perspective on the hole that many of us feel that we're in right now as we get ready to think about what the trade policies are going to be of this administration and of the country.
Thank you, Senator Bennet, of course, and loved our conversation about your beautiful Colorado.
Thank you. Come back anytime, or come anytime.
I would welcome that. We do spend some time there in the summers, as good Texans do, getting out of the heat, but I'll look forward to seeing you next time. In the last handful of years, we've gone from not having a trade deficit in our agricultural communities to having a $45 billion trade deficit. Of course, that has led to many challenges, including food inflation. And I know when I've heard President Trump talk about his priorities, the first is the border, which I'm guessing we'll get into at some point. But second was food inflation. And so there are many tools in our toolkit, both through USDA and expanding markets, which are all intertwined, to begin immediately to work to bring that deficit down and hopefully soon get it to zero. My commitment is
I would say,
yes, sir.
That deficit we know is being caused by a strong dollar. It's being caused by competition from Brazil. It's being caused by limitations on our beef supply. It's being caused by prices that are going up. I mean, these are. I don't think these particularly are failures in trade policy. It's making it harder for us to export, which is what Senator McConnell's concern was, which I share. And I think that all of us understand, and actually I will say there are many ways in which I'm sympathetic to some of the trade policies that President Trump is trying to advocate for, but agriculture is already in a tough spot for those reasons, I think, largely, and we don't want it to be in a tougher spot as a result of what happens here. And I think, when you were in my office, you talked a little bit, and this is going to be the easiest question that you get, but I hope you only take 15 seconds to answer so I can go on to the next stuff.
Yes, sir.
Which is, what is your responsibility as the Secretary of Agriculture to go into the Oval Office and say you haven't thought through the unintended consequences that are going to flow to American agriculture if you pursue these trade policies?
Senator, in 15 seconds, my role is to defend, to honor, to elevate our entire agriculture community in the Oval Office, around the table, through the interagency process, and to ensure that every decision that is made in the coming 4 years has that front of mind as those decisions are being made.
Okay, and I agree also with what Senator Klobuchar said, is that what we've heard from our farmers and ranchers over and over again is they want to be able to do the work. They want to be able to export. They don't want to solve this problem by getting aid to make up for what they should have been able to send to Asia and other kinds of places. The only growth that my farmers and ranchers can see in the foreseeable future, which is to say their lifetimes, is by growing our exports of agriculture. So I appreciate your understanding that, and we're counting on you, if you're in this job, to be that advocate. We also had the chance when you were in my office to talk a little bit about something that I've focused on here the entire time I've been on this committee, which is the state of our national forests throughout the American West. As you know, and I know you know this, they're incredibly important to us because every single community that we have, no matter how big or no matter how small, every single farm and ranch that we have is downstream from these snowpacks and downstream from these national forests and the condition of these national forests. And they're national forests for a reason. You know, they are national forests. The condition is just untenable and dangerous. You know, I've told Chuck Schumer, he doesn't necessarily agree with me, but I've told him over and over again that these forests are more important infrastructure from our perspective than the Lincoln Tunnel is to New York. If the Lincoln Tunnel is closed, there are other things you can do. He may not agree with that. But if we lose our water, we lose everything in the West.
Right.
And Coloradans are watching what's going on now in California. Senator Schiff with broken hearts because of what is happening there. We've seen it happen at a much smaller scale, but still universal in our state with things like the Marshall Fire. So I wonder if you could talk a little bit about the importance of these national forests, how you think about the stewardship here, you know, whether or not we should be considering the fact that if we wait to fight these fires, it costs $50,000 an acre to fight them, whereas if we do the work on the front end, putting people to work in our national forests, it can cost $1,400 an acre to do it. I'd love to hear your perspective on that.
Senator, I am so glad you brought this up, and I believe, and Senator Schiff and I spoke about this, obviously, in his office a week or two ago, as they were facing unimaginable experience in California. And I am really excited to tackle this problem. I don't pretend to even know the beginnings of it. I've just started studying it. But it seems to me, and after speaking with you and others on the committee and beginning to learn, first of all, I think we have a great undersecretary identified and announced. The quicker we can get him confirmed, the quicker we can really begin this hard work ahead. And my husband's family owns a little cabin right on the edge of a national forest in Gunnison, Colorado. So I too have spent about the last 25 years enjoying the national forests and the extraordinary beauty that they bring to our people. But the water is a massive issue, and you and I talked about that. 40 million people depend on the water that is under your land in Colorado. And I do believe, and maybe people call me a pathological optimist, but maybe the pathological optimist in me sincerely believes that we can fix this, and we can fix it fairly quickly with the right team in place and working with all of you who have watched it, been frustrated by it, and want an answer.
Ms.